Volkswagen Group. I know some people can't hear this name, especially in our community, without cringing because of the Dieselgate and animal testing, and a lot of things are pretty much fresh in our minds still. But in an ironic twist of fate, which actually has some logic behind it, Volkswagen Group is probably the most aggressive and active out of all legacy automakers right now to electrify their fleet. As a matter of fact, I believe they will probably be the biggest competitor to Tesla in the next couple of years. So let me tackle that issue and let me tell you why and what they're doing in the last just few weeks, even that makes me believe that they're actually pretty serious about it. All of this is coming up next.
Taking over the world, electrifying the world. E4 Electric.
Welcome to E4 Electric, your number one source of unbiased electric car news. If this is your first time here, welcome, and go ahead and just click on that subscribe button. You might as well do it right now. That way you won't miss anything moving forward. All right, let's talk about the Volkswagen Group. Now, Volkswagen Group obviously owns Volkswagen, but also other brands like Audi, Porsche, Lamborghini, I believe, and a few others, right? So just for the context. Now, I don't really need to remind you guys that we obviously had the Dieselgate where they've basically cheated to make their diesel cars look for the testing purposes that they're cleaner than they really were, and they were actually poisoning us. Then they actually conducted some experiments on monkeys, which did not sit well with anybody who is in any way loves animals. Yeah, so it was a big problem. People went to jail. I believe their CEO went to jail. Audi CEO went to jail. They ended up paying, I think, total now of about $26 billion. In penalties, a lot of it went to good cause. Like here in the United States, we have Electrify America, and there's also Electrify Canada up north. Basically, this is the money that Volkswagen is required to put into this business organization or whatever. They're coming up with a fast charging network here in the United States and Canada. Pretty much the only alternative to Tesla superchargers. And they're building that out. I just reported on one of their other projects for the low-income housing where people can rent the electric cars per hour, use them to get to work, use them to pick up their kids, or maybe even make some money doing Lyft or Uber. So they're doing a lot of good with it. And the Volkswagen CEO, just the one that was there still, that replaced the one that went to jail, I still did not like what he was talking about in terms of like he was still hoping that diesel was going to come back. He really didn't. I didn't feel like he was beyond the electrification of their fleet. But the new guy just came in recently, and I think I wonder if he's still interim or he's like, but he's definitely in there. And this guy is all in. I mean, every time he goes out there and speaks at different events, and I believe I just saw him in person at the Audi unveiling event, Audi e-tron, he is all in. I mean, he is talking big talk. He's going all after the electrification. He is talking about how much money they've invested, and which is important, right? I mean, a lot of times, you can talk a big game, but if you're not really putting money into it, well, these guys are putting real money into it, and and not just that. So first of all, they put in a committed $50 billion into electrification of their fleet. They're saying they're going to have 50 electric vehicles by 2025. That's pretty aggressive. Also, they have $48 billion worth of contracts with battery suppliers, all big names: CATL, LG Chem, Samsung SDI. And they have a huge presence in China, right? They're selling a lot of plugins in there, and they're also strategizing to make sure that that market is also, which is very friendly to electric cars, is also something they're continually going after. I believe he's now in charge of that as well. And they are talking big game. They're talking about that what the platform that they have right now, it's able to support 15 million cars. And this is something that I have not seen any legacy manufacturer really commit on so many different levels, and have their CEO, the leader and the chairman go this openly saying how they're definitely committed to electric cars, because obviously a lot of that money still comes from selling gas cars, in some cases diesel cars. So what does it really mean? What can we expect? What's coming up? And how is this going to affect Tesla? Let me address that. Just before that, let me remind you that this show and this channel is sponsored by Evonex, the aftermarket accessories for Tesla. There's a discount code in the description of this video, so you guys can go ahead and save yourselves a few bucks. Okay, so there, as you know, right now, Volkswagen e-Golf is the car that pretty much they're sort of a main and really only electric car. I actually test drove it for the first time the other day, and I thought it was fine. I thought it was just a regular car that's just electric, and I feel like this is great. This is perfect. Looks like a regular Golf, and this is exactly what I think needs to be asked for an electric car. The range is 110, 120 I think miles, which is not enough, obviously, but it's been on the market for a while, and people love it in Europe. But they're coming up with other ones. I mean, this cute little bus that they've been kind of putting in a lot of their media materials and stuff like that. And they're saying they're actually going to make it at some point. But there are also other. I think this one is a Cross, ID Cross. So the entire series is called ID. There's ID Cross, ID Vision, and so forth. Now the next one I believe is going to be ID Neo, or the first one I should say out of the ID family. Well, they're actually saying, and I'm calling BS on this, and I think I made a separate video about that. They're saying it's going to be a good, decent competitor to the Model 3. It might even be just as good, but for half the price. And people are saying there looks like they're going to be pricing it at about $23,000. Now, that's not exactly half the price because, I mean, if we're talking about the Model 3, I mean, technically they will start at 35. Let me run the other ad that for the Vision. Which is actually pretty cool. And this one is, I think, 3 years away. But they have a lineup of these ID cars that they're planning on bringing to market. I believe this one's actually is going to be level 4 autonomy with a wheel going into the dashboard. So they're thinking about a lot of this kind of stuff, and they also are trying to invest into self-driving technology as well, which I think is great. Now I lost my train of thought, but oh yeah, so they're talking about how they can be compared to the Model 3 with their next Neo model for half the price. Again, still, even at 23,000, especially with all of the incentives here, in the US and other countries, especially in China, that would be a very, very good and cheap electric cars. Definitely will be worth the money. It's still a couple of years away. It's not until 2020, I believe, but they are investing a ridiculous amount of money in their factories, which is important, and of course, securing the battery suppliers and contracts, so that way they will not have problems with like, oh, we got all these cars, we just don't have enough batteries for it. Hyundai had that type of an issue, right? So I gotta tell you guys, and this is, as you also know, that I am one of the first Audi e-tron reservation holders in North America, and that's the car I'm planning on switching to from my current Tesla Model S. And obviously Audi e-tron, the SUV, and they're just about to unveil the e-tron GT, which is going to be a Model S competitor, four-door sedan. I'll even get to drive it at the LA Auto Show just in a couple of weeks. And of course, Porsche Taycan is going to be in production and being sold to the public in about a year as well. All Volkswagen Group brands. So they got a lot of stuff going on. And just don't forget, the e-tron is in production right now. And that's why I'm very, very excited, because they are already making these cars. I really do think that they will be the main competitor to Tesla in the next couple of years. Obviously, Volkswagen Group is, they are not necessarily willingly, but nevertheless, they are definitely Electrify America charging network is their brand, and they've also one of the investors in Ionity, which is the biggest up and coming fast charging network in Europe. So they're all over the place. I think they're really, really going to do this aggressively, and I think Tesla will definitely have their hands full once they are rolling those out. Though I'm sure Tesla is not sitting on their hands and just doing nothing. I'm sure they will compete just fine. So yeah, let me know in the comment section if this is something that if you're a skeptic and this is something that might turn you around. I'm curious to see, what does it take for them to turn this community around so close after the Dieselgate. So let me know. Meanwhile, I also want to give a quick shout out to one of my new Patreons, Greg Hinderman. Thank you so much for becoming a Patreon, for joining my community and supporting me as an independent and full-time now YouTuber. Really appreciate it. As you guys know, you get to watch me live if you're on a top tier Patreon, and quite a few other perks. So thank you so much for supporting me. Other than that, I will see you guys next time, and remember to stay charged.